Arizona, being the most anticipated, but there was usually some underlying health concern with these gatherings. On the other hand, that year was unique. People in the audience became sick due to an unknown virus or sneaky bacteria. Not even the most seasoned doctors could make sense of it. On the third day of the concert, he began to have significant symptoms, including excessive perspiration and frightening swelling of his throat. As the sun went down, an indelible sensation started to take hold of him. The knowledge that he was almost dead. He was changed forever by that life-altering event. At that same instant, he had the sensation of floating above his corporeal form in a radiant mist. Something completely new and unfathomable washed over him. On that unearthly plane, he proclaimed, "I'm home. I'm finally home." In his childhood, Bill Torrella's mother managed a charming bar and grill in Brooklyn, New York, not far from Ebbets Field, the world-famous home of the Brooklyn Dodgers. Notable baseball moments, such as Mickey Mantle's historic home run for the New York Yankees in 1956, stick out in his mind. His passion for art blossomed as he entered his teenage years, and he eventually settled on a degree in commercial art and illustration. His path took him to New York's prominent art and design school, where he was able to launch a successful career with Triad Studios, a major participant in the commercial art industry. The New York City advertising agency B&Vows was an important partner of Triad Studios. However, unforeseen events were about to unfold. After Bill got married in 1973, he relocated to Florida. The temptation of azure waters and conventions under palm trees were things his father had told him about Miami. But he was caught unawares in 1973 upon his arrival in Miami. He had built his career in advertising in New York, but here there were hardly any skyscrapers and the industry was practically non-existent. In response to this obstacle, he embarked on an uncharted course. He was captivated by an ad in the Miami Herald. A growing number of retirees were relocating to South Florida, which meant that the county needed more emergency medical technicians, EMTs. In return for his assistance as a paramedic sidekick, they promised to cover the cost of his emergency medical technician training. While working during the day and attending night classes, he was able to earn his EMT certification. As an EMT, he encountered horrific scenes on a daily basis. The mental toll of witnessing suffering, even the imminent danger of life, took a toll on him. He finally realized he needed to make a change when he started experiencing symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. Through a series of fortunate events, he came into the jewelry industry one day. Someone he knew who worked as a truck driver informed him about seconds boxes that contained jewelry that was slightly flawed. This idea piqued his interest, so he decided to test it out. He bought several tables and a temporary tent to sell his wares at a nearby flea market. His initial investment of less than $200 was transformed into a $2,800 profit in just 2 days, much to his astonishment. When 1994 rolled around, he had 2 thriving jewelry stores under his management in South Florida, one in Fort Lauderdale and one in Pompano Beach. Unaware that it would mark a watershed moment in his life, he eagerly anticipated the yearly Tucson Trade Expo that year. Viruses are usually a source of anxiety at trade exhibitions, but this year was different. No one, not even doctors, could decipher the virus or bacteria. A woman's unexpected fall at a neighboring booth on day 3 of the show caused a medical emergency. Despite the growing health problem, he was surprisingly unharmed. He offered his assistance, concerned about her safety. But that night he became quite sick. His quick swelling of the throat was giving him immense discomfort, and he was also saturated in perspiration. He had to get to the hospital right away. His oxygen levels were quickly restored with the use of an intravenous IV drip and antibiotic treatments. The doctor told him to go back to the clinic first thing in the morning in case his symptoms didn't improve. On that fateful night, he thought he was about to die. Just as his physical form appeared to be dying, he was overcome by a brilliant, luminous mist that hung over him. brilliant tunnel beckoned to him as a powerful beam of light emerged from behind, casting light on the ground below. The profound love overcame him as he felt an overpowering sensation of love in this tunnel, which was a mesmerizing display of multicolored lights. He felt as one with the light itself. As he set off on his adventure in the tunnel, a flurry of brilliant colors engulfed him, and he felt as if time stood still. An overwhelming feeling of affection washed over him, and he knew he was finally home. One of his guardians, Antonia, was introduced in a soft voice. Spirits, including those he had known from his time on Earth, accompanied him on his trip. Without speaking a word, they exchanged ideas through a brilliant light that allowed them to instantly identify one another. His brother Peter's voice then welcomed him, a sound he knew all too well. There was an unexplainable bond between their souls formed by the emotions they shared, which beyond words. Peter gave him an explanation of his mission, to help him with a life review, which was an unfamiliar idea. It was at this point that he first began to think about his time on Earth again. They showed him the positive and negative aspects of his activities in this evaluation. Thanks be to God, he had been blissfully oblivious to the suffering he had inadvertently wrought on those around him. But this retrospective of his life showed how much misery he had unwittingly caused. He pleaded for mercy, uttering, I'm sorry," even though he was unable to shed actual tears due to overwhelming pain. His life's beneficial impact, especially his paramedic work, shone through as a brilliant light emerged. His unwavering commitment to rescuing lives and assisting those in need revealed the meaning of life, to be of service to one another, and to recognize the interdependence of all living things. Because of this new insight, his viewpoint changed from one focused on business. Peter, his brother, presented his third guardian, a wise old man who stood in for the inner voice that had always spoken to him and helped him make the right decisions. With infinite love around him, he went back to the spiritual world. Along with his guardians, he encountered angels from beyond, who taught him much and showed him how the universes came to be, as well as the meaning of the numerals 1, 3, 6, 8, and 9. He felt a tingling sensation, and reluctantly was brought back into his actual body. Because of societal taboos, he was unable to discuss his experience, despite his urgent plea for hospitalization. Now that he was back on Earth, he appreciated the gift of meeting God. He loved death and looked forward to going to his eternal home, where there would be no more suffering but just infinite love and service. It was difficult to stay focused on the ultimate goal, love and service, in this environment. He understood the gravity of his paramedic duties and placed an emphasis on his goal to aid others, share love, and receive the priceless